Welcome to the Power of Healing Your Energy, the show that is about your light, your energy, your healing. Did you know depression and anxiety are a side effect of not living your life intuitively, not trusting your gut, and the lost connections with self and others? Hello, I'm Christine with 24 Karat Healing. I'm a spiritual medium, intuitive energy coach, and old soul healer. And this is episode number 23, The Power of Novalee Wilder. And we're going to talk about numerology. And you guys know I love numbers. I'm always talking about numbers. Numbers rock. And we're going to talk about 12/12, which is tomorrow, and a full moon. And a lot of folks are talking about that energy, that portal, leveling up, shedding, and all that fun stuff. 2020, which I have been talking a lot about as well. So this is the beautiful and lovely Novalee Wilder. And please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Hi, everyone. So I'm a professional numerologist and writer. I live in LA. I'm originally from Denmark, which is like a very cold little country in Scandinavia. We're like 6 million over there, so it's tiny. Yeah, I'm a professional numerologist, and I was trained in Denmark, but now I live in LA, and I have clients from all over the world, and I help them change their name. And that sounds like I decide what they're now called. It's not. I look at the vibration behind their names and how it interacts with their birthday and the numbers in their birthday. And I look how could they be more supported? How could like their soul mission, their personality, everything they're here to do and be, how could that be more supported? And I help them find names that fit with that. So that's what I do.
Beautiful. And you're also, you had moved from New York, so
Yeah.
You were there for a while. And you're an alumni of the William Esper Studio in New York City. I'm not familiar with that because I'm in Canada.
That's the Meissner technique. It's an acting method, the Meissner technique.
Okay,
Yeah. Many actors, who do I want to mention? Like Sam Rockwell is a Meissner student.
Nice.
So yes, I spent 2 years getting trained in the Meissner method in New York. That's a whole story in and of itself, actually, because I changed my own name while I was there, and I found the love of my life, and we won the green card lottery. So we got to stay in the US. And since he is German and I'm Danish, that was actually the only way for us to like stay together and be together, because he's an actor. And he didn't want to act in Germany, and I didn't want to stay in Denmark. So it was really good that we won the green card lottery and made it to the US. Yeah.
Just sound like it was, the universe basically made everything.
I mean, I blame it all on my name change, of course, from like a very tough, like a lot of struggle and a very tough life and a very hard mindset to suddenly like the door is opening. And it wasn't, I think there are certain challenges in struggle, but I think there is just another set of challenges in expansion and having the wind at your back and suddenly being like, okay, well, if the buffet is open, what do you want on it? So yeah, I feel like that's what happened for sure.
Nice. And you're a certified match numerologist from the Institute of Numerology in Denmark. And I feel like, I'm living in a I never leave my home. I'm like, what's that? No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, numerology is really huge in Denmark. It's really a lot more common. And it's also very easy in the Danish system to change your name. Like in the US, you have to go to court in most states and, fill out a bunch of papers. In Denmark, you go online and it's done in like 5 minutes. So it's very easy and everything is digitalized. But then again, the fact that is the system also means on some level that there is a spiritual readiness for it. I don't think it would be so easy if there was not an energetic vibe in my country of like being open to this. And that's actually what I'm trying to help, even though I'm not like influencing government or anything like that. But I do hope that I help people be more open to the fact that they can change their name and their life. And if they are stuck with some heavy name vibrations, or just a name they don't like,
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't have to carry that around for the rest of your life. You know, if you had a bad haircut, you'd get it fixed. If you didn't like the outfit, you know, return it. You know, there's like many choices in life with that we fix because we're like, this is not working for me. But sometimes our name is like, so I don't know, it's just a traditional mindset of like, oh, you don't mess with that unless you know, get married or change your gender or something big, where I'm like, you're allowed to change.
Yeah, like it was based on the ideals of your parents.
Yeah, and you know, like we pass on the vibrations we know. So in our name, like when I look at birth numeroscopes, which are like kind of like horoscopes, but like based on your name, I see that, you know, what was needed in your childhood family. You can see that in people's birth names and their numeroscope. And maybe that was needed and that was okay and you fit in, but now you're a grown up and maybe you need something else now. And maybe you need to like not carry around that vibration or that feeling anymore. Because it's also like drama, you know, we all trigger each other, families trigger each other. And sometimes when you remove the name vibration, suddenly it's not such a big trigger anymore. And you suddenly like way more civil and it gets easier to talk to each other. I definitely felt that in my family. Like suddenly my dad is not so triggering to be around because we don't share the same vibrations anymore.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So I think we talked about family lineage. So carrying, like, it's like a karmic. Do you see that as karma?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's karma in our names, and karma is a part of being a person on the earth. So of course, changing your name does not remove all karma for the rest of your life. You know, you're calling something new in. But I see a lot of people around, you know, late 20s, early 30s, you know, the Jesus years, you know, Saturn return, when many people start questioning, you know, why they're here, what they've spent their 20s on, what do they want to bring into, you know, the next decade. And it feels like often we wake up from our family patterns / dysfunction and go like, oh, okay, I see it. Now what do I do? Because I don't want that anymore, you know. I don't want to like get kids and pass that on, or, you know, get kids and, you know, on a different level, pass those vibrations on in some sense, because we can't help it. We're just human. We're all doing our best. It's fine. It's okay. But, you know, if there's something to change and something that can help us, you know, whether it's therapy or, you know, energy clearing or something like numerology.
Yeah, and I think it really starts with just wanting to try, really, and not having ego involved, and definitely, and the meditation piece, like getting really quiet and finding out, you know, like how you're feeling and how you would like to change this. What does it look like? It's almost like future casting. Yes, you know, we are all psychic. We can all look into our future. We can talk to our guides, our angels, our loved ones. It's just a matter of finding our energy, and that starts with the, you know, your name as well. And numerology, it starts with a lot of things. It's just about finding, you know, what feels good more than anything,
and allowing that. I think there is a whole allowing part. You know, I don't know, some people call it surrender, and I think some people bark at that, like, I don't want to surrender, but like giving over and giving in to whatever is calling, and also the joy of things, what feels really good. Not what looks good to others, but what feels really good, you know.
Feels. Yeah, we've lost that feel, that, you know, that the heart resilience. I'm actually reading a book about that. So it's more about the heart, and you know, we've been lied to for so long that this is what controls the body. No.
No.
It's the heart. It is the heart. Oh my goodness. And if you shut that down, which a lot of us do, we live hunched over. We're not open and expansive. That's how I see energy work, yoga. It's all about expanding and opening up, but it's just safe to be in their comfort, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
and
being
also, I mean, on
in
a
their
higher
comfort.
level, creating a society where that's possible. I mean, I had this morning the idea of writing a book on the spin of, there's one called Zen and the Art of Archery, like a classic. And I was like, well, Zen and the Art of Being Catcalled. Because I was like, also for many women, there's certain reasons why we don't open our heart anymore, and we don't walk around in, outside in public with an open heart, because that's attractive to certain energies, and maybe we just want to hide it a little bit. So also, like, on a higher level, just creating community and creating spaces where you feel safe to open your heart. So it's very good to open your heart in this comfort of your own home. But,
yes,
walking into a workplace with an open heart, if your boss has an open heart, like that changes things on a whole different level.
And being an empath, I totally understand. I used to be scared of everything, and they're triggering me, and this, I feel their vibe, and you feel it. But you know what? Once you own your energy, you heal your energy and who you are, and connect with the light, which we all have. And Judith Orloff, she talks a lot about empath, and narcissists are everywhere. And it's really more about just working on your own energy, be the observer, not the reactor.
Yes.
Patty she is saying she hears us on the family drama. I distance myself from that. I actually created a family boundaries, like a social media post all about that. And it's great for the holidays. It's great for any time, actually.
I shared about that today. I was like, no is a complete sentence. And like, I shared like, I don't know, like 20 ways of turning things down, and saying I'm so honored you're asking, but that's not me. I can't do it today, or I can't be what you want, or I'm not the right fit, or whatever, because sometimes just we don't even know how to say no, or like, we have to distance. We have to not even show up because we feel like we can't protect our own energy in the room. Or, many people have like, what do you call it? Delayed reactions. So everything was fine delayed until you got home and cried your eyes out because like they said so many hurtful things, but you didn't realize in the moment. You're like, I guess that's fine.
Well, and we tend to either shut down or numb ourselves. And enough of that as well. That's why boundaries are real important. And it's funny, like when I speak up, sometimes I think because I've done it for so long now, that when I do speak up, people are like, what? What did you just say? Oh, what's wrong with you? Or, what's her problem? Or why are you so don't even go there.
Why you're so sensitive? Oh, yeah. Do you want to know? Yeah.
Because what? I'm not feeding your narcissistic supply, and going with what you want to go with. So Patty's talking about tomorrow's full moon and 12/12, and it's my sister's birthday as well tomorrow. Ooh. So
well, then she's a 3 in the Chaldean numerology, just so we can enter that too. Cool. But let's talk a little bit about 12/12, because that's an interesting portal.
It is.
So we're in a 3-year. If you add up all the digits in 2019, you get 12, and then you get 1 + 2, and that's 3. So it's a 3-year we're in right now, and that's why we're also seeing like a lot of themes on responsibility, taking responsibility, playing the victim, playing but I don't know how to do that. You have to teach me. Those moments, and we have it on a global level where there is a theme about taking responsibility for like the planet's future, the country's future. Governments are being moved around. We see it in the US, but also like in other countries around the world. But also like on a personal level, this has really been a year that's been pushy in that way of like, are you stepping up? Are you taking responsibility? Who's the authority in your life? Is it someone else? Okay, but why? Why are you handing over your power? And then, blaming yourself for, whatever situation you're in. But if you're handing over your power, then like that's how it's going to be. So there's like big themes about our own shadow this year. And when we get to 12/12, then that's really, really potent tomorrow, about like really looking back on this year, look at what you have accomplished and all the stuff that you have not accomplished because whatever, you gave your power away, and deciding to not bring that into 2020. It's a really great full moon to like really release. And I would use fire. I would use fire this full moon. I would burn whatever in a safe, ventilated space. Make sure there's no fire hazards. But there is power, especially tomorrow, by like writing down whatever it is that you don't want to bring and really being honest about like, where have I not stepped up and where have I stepped up? Been like, claim that authority in your own life and say like, I did this. I actually did. I followed through. Plus you have a few more weeks, if there's something where you like just about to finish, these few weeks are really, they're good for that. Because 2020 is a 4-year, and that's a whole different energy. And we can probably already feel it. There's like some excitement in the air.
4 is my favorite number, by the way. So
yeah. Well, that's
I'm really feeling
change.
this.
Yeah. Change and revolution. So it's already like, time is a fun concept, but it's also kind of a wavy thing. So we're already feeling the waves from the new year at the end of this year. And we will still feel the waves of 2019 a little bit into 2020 because, there is no like clear cutoff. Like then the time stopped and a new time started. Like
that's the ego thinking there's a timeline and it should be done by this time. What's wrong? No.
Yeah. And that's also, I want to add, if you don't have time to sit down and say some of the stuff I just said on 12/12, the energy is available to you after. Of course it is. You can always say, this is the energy I'm calling on. This is the energy I'm sitting in. And I'm being really honest with myself. And I'm, being my own authority. I'm taking responsibility. I'm being the grown-up. I'm taking care of my inner child. And we're figuring out what we're releasing and what we're like bringing in. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I already wrote down my list for full moon and I've got lots of stuff to burn. I already did my smudging. I did all this stuff. So I just wanted, because I know that, this show was going to be quite expansive and lots of energy, lots of information, I already feel like revitalized just coming into this. So I wanted to clear all that away. I burned cinnamon and oranges. I went all out. So
very on point. Very on point. Yeah, spices.
Yes. Oh, I love essential oils. Smells and sound healing are pretty big for me. Just wondering if anybody has any questions for Novalee about numerology.
If not, then I have something I just want to add.
Okay, go ahead. We'll wait.
We were talking about like the drama and having to distance yourself. And I just wanted to add that that's something I see in people's names often. That thing where we get sucked in and we get a little obsessive with certain things. Even if we don't interact with people, we might have daydreams about them, of how we could help them, or how we would have that conversation again, or what we would say, or what kind of revenge fantasy would feel the best. Like this obsessive thing. And that's something that shows up in names for sure. That, and it's just so incredibly triggering because it means that you can't, I'm going to share. I can't remember who said it, and that's too bad because then I can't, attribute the quote. But it's like you have to break up with the pattern, not the person.
Yes.
And that's sometimes what because I've seen it in my own life. Or why am I again breaking up with a friend over this thing? Or why am I again with this guy where I'm playing this part and he's playing whatever that part? And like, again, like really seeing the pattern, being like, okay, that's my pattern. That's not my personality. That's not who I am, but that's the pattern I'm playing out right now. And what will I do about that? Whatever it is.
Definitely.
What promises am I like constantly breaking to myself? I set this promise. I'm never going to do this again. That's also, by the way, like a recipe for disaster, saying I'm never going to do it again. That's like way to start a fight with your ego.
Well, totally. And never, as they say never. Sometimes the lesson isn't learned, or it takes 21 days to form a new habit or drop an old one. I don't care what anybody says. It takes practice. I have been practicing yoga for 2 years, and I can finally sit comfortably in a cross-legged position. That's big for me.
Yeah.
Because I was so stiff. I had no idea how stiff I was. So yoga taught me a lot about the mind-body connection. But it's find it. Don't beat yourself up, and then release it and say, okay, I'm going to try something different this time. Yeah. I'm going to write down what I want in my life, who the people are in my life. I actually look at it as writing a letter to myself 5 years ahead of time and going, okay, this is what's happening. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm feeling. It's like a meditation as well. That's how I invite my clients to look at 2020. But
that's also because you spend time in the vibration. I mean, sometimes when people ask me about manifestation, and I'm like, oh, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to think about, the product out there. You just have to stay in the vibration. I talk about that. It's a cute little story about how I manifested my husband. And it was actually right after, like a week after I had changed my name, I suddenly had this impulse, and I rarely have these kind of impulses, to go down to the supermarket, because my supermarket had these 7-day candles, the ones in glass that burn for a period of time. And I bought like 5 of them. And I sat down with the first one, and I sat and tuned into what love was for me. And that meant that I spent some time first saying, what is love not? It's not codependency. It's not power struggle. It's not fighting. It's not a lot of the things that I thought it was, because my family patterns told me that this is love, and it looks like this, and it feels like this, and it feels like drama. And it has to have that like gut punch, extreme feeling. And I sat with it. And the more I sat in the energy of love, and I wrote on the candle, and I lit it, and I let it burn. And when it burned down after a few days, I did that with the next candle. And what I was doing without knowing it was just spending a lot of time in the vibration of love and really recognizing what is that. And I did not think about what he needed to look like, or when he needed to arrive, or what kind of age or hair color he needed to have, or she needed to have. I just spent time in the vibration. And I feel like sometimes when people hear that, they're like, oh, what kind of candles? And I'm like, that's not what I just said. But sure, these kind of candles.
Yeah.
But the vibration is the most important thing. And that's also, it's kind of like meditation, right? Like whatever it is that brings you that calm, peace place. And sometimes it's helpful to actually have the like, okay, well, I'm meditating on love today. I'm meditating on whatever thing I want to bring in more of. And then just leave the whole product part to the universe or your higher power or whatever you talk to or surrender to or give over to.
Yes.
They'll figure it out. You don't have to
surrender
the product down to the last detail. It's like too much. Yeah.
Well, it's that proverbial easy button. Just give me the candle and it'll do everything that but here, this is where it's not resonating. So a lot of times when I do energy work, there's gaps in the energy because it's like you said, they're not in that vibration. They'll say they are, but they're not.
Yeah. And that's also why, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yes.
Because it could be a book you already have on your bookshelf, or the story I just told. I'm sure that someone listening might have heard something like it before, but maybe today they heard, oh, it's not the candles. And then, something clicks.
I don't know if you do this, but Patty is asking, what do you see in my name?
Yeah, I don't do name readings on the spot simply because it's super personal and private, and I can't even see you, Patty. So I feel a great deal of lack of integrity if I can't hold the space. What I will speak about is your birthday, if you put that up, because that's more general. And also someone else might share some of the numbers in the birthday, and I don't become so like personal because I feel like there is I I don't know, there's just a level of integrity I have around sharing
I
what I can
understand. I
see,
completely
because I can see a
understand.
lot, and I'm like, well, you have not, you might not be aware of how closely you've invited me in, or like, you know.
Okay.
But your birthday, throw that up there.
She's saying, I know it has to do with numbers in your name, but how do I figure mine out? Okay. And
Yes.
okay. And Patty is sharing her date of birth. Oh, I'm a January baby too.
Ooh,
Okay.
yeah. So Patty, you're a 3 because you're born on the 21st. 2 + 1 is 3. You might have felt this year a little extra. Sometimes when we meet a year that, you know, has the same vibration as we have in our birthday, we feel that a little like more intensely. And you're a 4 because 1966 is 22, and that's a 4. So you're a 3 and a 4. So 3s are the hardest workers in the room. I don't know you, Patty, but you work really hard. And that's an interesting thing to say, because often when I meet 3s, they're like, no, I don't work harder than other people. And I'm like, do you show up early? Do you go home late? Are you the person you can count on? Are you flaky? You're not flaky, right? You know, there's sometimes when we are something and we see it as a natural component of who we are, and that's just how it is, and we don't understand people who complain about life, but they don't show up. And then, you know, 80 hours a week. Yeah, you work hard.
Ouch.
Yeah, 3s work very hard. You guys often make it to leadership positions, not necessarily because you want to be there, but because showing up is mostly the job for many leaders. So just like showing up is part of it. Then you're 4. Like when we look at a birthday in numerology terms, we kind of look like it's a dance between numbers. So you have a 3 and you have a 4, and the 4 is like a little rebellious, a little the outsider, a little bit that like who likes to define yourself as like, I'm not part of these groups. Instead of saying like, oh, I like these things, you often say like, oh, but I don't like that, or I'm not like this, or I don't think like that, or I don't believe in that. So there's like a little rebel component in that. I don't know how much that resonates, but often there's like the dance between your very responsible 3 and then a part of you that's probably like, I don't want to do this anymore. You guys are like, you're thinking inside the box. I want to think outside the box. Let's just blow the box wide open. So there's like a little rebel leader in there. So like Aquarius. Was it Aquarius?
It looks like, because I'm Capricorn, so she'd be Aquarius, I believe.
So you're a little weird in a good way. So you're out of work. Yeah. Well, you 3s, I mean, I'm married to a 3. He can forget to eat and sleep and pee. And I'm just like, how did you do that? How did you come home from work and you didn't even eat your lunch that I packed for you? And he's like, well, I was busy. And I can't do that. You know, I have water and tea right next to this call simply because I'm like, you know, you need a little snack.
That's right. I'm all about snacks.
Yes, bring the snacks. Can't meet anyone without having something.
That's true. Jamie's saying, hey, ladies. And Perry is saying, evening, all. Hello, nice to see you. Patty is just saying she's a lot of a rebel and Aquarius. Yeah, there you go.
But you can also, I mean, that's the thing when we have those numbers in our birthday, and again, your name really interacts with this. You know, it could really support your 3, that side of you that's the hard worker, but it can also be like, you know, when we go like in overdrive, and like because we are human, even though the 3s are the, you know, you're tough to crack.
But true.
You said you had back problems, and that's the life source and flow. So you probably worked beyond for a while what you really could. And something had to stop you because you were not stopping. Your body had to say, you know what, we need to pee and eat and stop and sleep.
And slow down. I'm all about self-care. I'm always talking about it. And it's not just on Sunday, it's every day.
I mean, for sure.
Can you read the comments, Novalee? Can you see the comments as well?
I can't see the comments, no.
Oh, well, that's wild. Okay, because you're supposed to. I'll have to fix the settings here, but there's a few more that are asked.
I see them now. Now I see
them. So it's up to you if you want to continue, if you know what I'm talking about in regards to other folks asking about.
Okay, well, we got Patty, and then we got Terry. Terry's a 2, and Centella's a 6. Yeah, now I see them.
Terry's a 2.
And Trisha is a 6 too. Oh, we got some 6s on the line. Let me just talk about the 2, and then I'm going to connect it to the 6, because that's an interesting thing. So numerology can kind of be layered on top or fitted into like all the systems, because it makes sense. You know, when you find like, I don't know, a way to the core map, all other maps fit in. That's why I feel like when I meet people, and if they've been to other good readers of anything, palmistry, astrology, mediumship, we should kind of say the same thing in our own words, because we're all looking at the same map from a different angle. So my way in is numerology, and someone else might, you know, see the map from a different angle. But this one is interesting because we got some 2s and some 4s. And one of the ways in to numerology is the chakra system, because all of the base numbers, that's what I'm talking about with the 2s and the 4s and whatever, are connected, of course, to the chakra system. And you 2s and 6s, you have the heart as your center.
Yeah.
So that's where the trouble began, and it's where it ends, because 2s are some of the most sensitive souls. If you're a 2, you know, you're just such an open, born empath in that sense of like, people are exciting, and you know, you can get all drunk on a good party without even drinking, and you can also get really depressed if you hang out with depressing people, because you kind of like a sponge, take it all in. It's like, ooh, it's kind of delicious, all this emotion. And many 2s are very creative, but not the hardest workers in the room, because that's not what you're here for. And sometimes that's what we, in our society, in our world, we like celebrate the hard work. We celebrate the people who can shut down and power through. We celebrate the more like hard values, not softer values. So I've met many 2s and 6s that are hurt in their heart, not just because, you know, life might be tough, but simply because someone has said like, you need to hurry up and not feel so much. You need to just like move on, you know. Get over it. Stop being so emotional. Which is so hard, because like 2s are really here to feel, and we're here to see that. You know, it's a gift to be so available.
It is a gift.
Yeah. And the problem is, of course, that sometimes you spend a little too much time in other people's emotional life and not enough in your own, and you have a hard time with boundaries, and where does it end? And again, am I sad, or was she sad? Or am I sad about the movie I watched last night? Or is it because, you know, something is tough today? So many like 2s, have to like be aware of that, you know, surround yourself with good people and lovely things. That's also like, sometimes with 2s, I hear people say like, oh, she just cares so much about like her surroundings and what it looks like. And I'm like, well, if you're a sponge for the surroundings and everything around you, then it's important that it's beautiful and that it feels good.
It's my Zen den. Come on now.
For Zen den. I love that. So like, let's just, so Patty, you're a nurse, taking care of others.
Yes. Taking care of others. Wow. Yeah.
So that might also be in your name, because sometimes you have leadership as part of your contract. It never goes away. You know, you have leadership, but sometimes name vibrations can force you into a field where the leadership might not get, you know, as rewarded as the hard work does. Hard work we can do in all fields, you know, showing up we can do in all fields. But sometimes we find a field that demands so much from us that we can't actually like get that far with, for example, our leadership, because we're just working, you know, too much.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to move on to the 6s, because we have a few of those, Jamie and Trisha. So 6 is also a heart-centered number. And that's in a different way than the 2, because the the most resilient force in the universe is love.
Mm.
It's a whole different kind of energy than the leadership we had in the 3. But
Yes.
it's also the most stubborn. I've never met a 6 who's not stubborn and who has that sense of like knowing what's better for other people. In 6, we also find like the mother archetype and the father archetype. And that's the energy of like, I know what's best for you. And I know what's best for people. And I'm going to make it so it's easier for you. And I see it in myself, like it's a Venus vibration, so it's beautiful things. I meet many architects who are 6s, or people who create beautiful things, rooms, clothes, ceramics. Actually, I've met a lot of 6s who are ceramics.
Okay.
Yeah. But the lowest end of that vibration is kind of like that nagging mom or that nagging dad that we also we all have that, but we can't step out of people's lives or even our children's lives. Like we're just a little too much there and a little too involved. And because it's the heart, it feels so powerful. Like we're so like, if you hurt a 6, that's not okay. It's like, yelling at your mom, and your mom looks at you with that sad fallen face and you just hurt love itself. And it's not okay. So it's a very emotional, strong, powerful base number. And you really have, as a 6, lessons around boundaries, not necessarily just emotional boundaries, feeling people, but it's like stepping into things where you should not be stepping in, even though you know what's best for them. And I know 6s don't want to hear this, but you know what's best for them, but you should step out of that room. And you should spend time. We were talking about nurses. Many 6s find also places where they can be of service because there is such a big heart. There's just such a big heart. Oh, it pours over. But, again, pouring for an empty cup makes you bitter.
Yeah.
And then you become like that bitter mom feeling. It's not nice to get help from someone who's just like, making you feel bad about it at the same time. Look at me helping you because you can't help yourself.
Oh my goodness.
But the highest end of many 6s are they create beauty in the world. They create so much beauty in the world. And I had apparently a neighbor who's knocking on something, but also I had a 6 who saw a gap in the market. This was in Denmark. For like meditations for children, night meditations, something that will calm them down, something to put on, we call it the wolf hour.
Okay.
When mom and dad are tired, children are screaming, they're reacting to everything that happened that day. They can't be calmed down. Someone is slamming a door, a kid is passed from the mom to the dad. I can't take it anymore. You put her to bed. And there's all this energy. So she created these meditations with a sleep bear that comes and, sleeps with the child. And, the story of like, just being with the sleep bear. She's a 6. And I was like, see, you have so much love. And sometimes you can't even hold it. And you want to be there for all these kids in the world, who are acting out around bedtime. What do? You create a loving bear that can be, in all the cribs and played for even the older kids and, be that loving voice. And
even the big kids. No.
Yeah, and even the big kids, of course. Yeah, you're never too old for the sleep bear.
That's right.
Yeah.
Patty is saying, thank you so much. I understand exactly what you're saying. And Trisha is saying you're so on point.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for being open to what I'm saying, because I know I'm also being a little pointy here. I'm putting a little pressure on when I describe it.
Not really. It makes sense. All of it makes sense, and it resonates. Most of the guests that come on this show, I'll just throw it out there, are open, so it's all good.
Yeah. Perry, you're born on the 9th. So you're 9, and then April 9th, I feel like that would make you an Aries, and then and a 3. Whoa. So 9 and 3 are both leaders, and then Aries, there's like entrepreneurship and like pushiness in that, you know, I want to do it my way. And no, I'm over it. I'm moving on. It's fine. I'm moving on. So when you have 2 leadership numbers in a birthday, that's actually kind of interesting, because often we have numbers that don't go together, and we have that push-pull feeling in our inside where people might react to something on the outside, but we're feeling completely different about our actions and our life on the inside. And there's like this push-pull of like, are people seeing me? I don't feel seen. That whole thing going on. But when you have 2 leadership numbers, apart from the, falling into the hole of working too hard, they actually interact kind of nicely. You look to be a powerhouse in that sense. I hope you're allowing yourself to be that kind of leader. 9 has a life lesson about authentic leadership, which looks very different than just showing up and going home late. I want to use an example like Elizabeth Gilbert that many people know. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love and Big Magic and City of Girls. And what you're supposed to be doing as a 9 is stand, because there's also a warrior in any 9. There's that warrior feeling of like, I'm going to overcome, I'm going to climb over the mountain. There's a mountain. That's my way. And other people, maybe the 2s, will go like, there's a mountain. That's not my way. Go somewhere else. But many 9s, you look for the mountains to climb. And
makes sense.
With that, and why I bring in Elizabeth Gilbert, is that you get the most recognition and the most like flow in your life when you're really honest within your leadership. So that also goes like, Eat, Pray, Love. She was talking about herself and all her struggles and how hard it was and what she did. And that thing is standing out there like a light post or something for everyone who's going through hard times. They can pick up that book and they can get a little authentic leadership, a little insight into a tough person's choices and thoughts. And that's a thing for many 9s, because you think really hard. You have a lot of brain power, I would say, Perry, in your just your essence. Maybe your names are not supportive or challenging that, but like there is a lot of, I don't know, cognitive power of like figuring it out, and like, maybe you get headaches even from all that like power up there. But yeah, being authentic and being honest and finding places where you can put down your shields and your weapons and just be like, my heart is tired. Please listen to me.
Every great warrior needs to rest.
Yeah.
And she's saying thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And Terry is saying thank you. It totally makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, no headaches. Thank goodness. Well, that's good. It's just one of the things that can happen when you have a lot of, because with the zodiac signs, they're also connected to a base number, and Aries is connected to 9. So you have a little more 9 in your essence in that way. And one of the things when you are a 9 is like blood and head related injuries or themes. So like, concussions and headaches and blood related, because that's the most, that's life. And your chakra is the root chakra. So like that like sense of safety, and I'm allowed to be here, and I'm allowed to have these ideas and fight for like the greater good. These are like important.
Definitely.
Okay, Kelly's the last one I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
Because,
we want to keep it to under an hour here.
Yes. So Kelly, you're 7 because you were born on the 16th. That makes sense, right? And then you're a 5. Oh, beautiful combination. I hope you do something artistic and communicative in your life. So the 7 is the gentlest base number. Not to confuse this with any kind of weakness, but gentleness is a different power. So when we were talking about the 2s and being a sponge and like feeling everything, 7s feel the thing that we can't see, the energy around us, the spiritual world. I feel like when I mentioned this to some 7s, that it can feel like there's a train driving, or like, driving right next to you, and there's like guides and thoughts, and everything is just like being yelled at you from this train. Like, what about this idea? Or like, have you ever thought about combining this field and that field? And, your grandma is coming through and talking about, the spirit world and whatever. And many sevens have this like constant chatter from the other side, whether or not they define it as chatter. Some people say, oh, I have a really strong gut instinct. And I'm like, okay, what does it say? Because if it's talking, like if you're actually hearing things, then it's not just your gut, then it's the other side. And you guys are really good at synergy. You're good at creating something, combining fields that were not combined before, just like drawing it down, downloading it. If you're friends with a 7, they might daydream really a lot. They might actually leave the conversation for like 30 seconds and come back with like a whole new perspective that they just downloaded.
Yeah, that's Miss Kelly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the daydream, it's beautiful, but sometimes it's also like, I thought we were drinking coffee. Apparently I'm drinking coffee with you and all your spirit guides. That feeling. And you have, there's a theme about self-worth. Because we don't always claim and acknowledge the gifts we have, and we think everyone else is walking around with the same things, and they don't. I don't have a train. No one's talking to me all the time. Just not. They talk to my husband. He's a 3 and a 7. So he is in between working really, really hard and then like being gone for like days at a time. Or he's just spending time. Or, like being able to remember all his dreams. Not that all 7s do this, but like he can remember everything. He can wake up and write like half a book about his dreams. And I'm like,
that would be my uncle. Yeah.
You spend so much time there that, you remember it.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're 5, that's the communication. Any kind of exchange, being with people, communicating, money.
Definitely.
Writing, like that. Yeah.
And she's saying thank you, and she always thought she was a 7. See, you know more than you think you do. It's here. It's all connected, right?
Yeah.
And the more you practice this heart-mind synergy and just go with feeling, it's amazing.
And 7 is the crown chakra.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Crown.
And 5 is the throat. But
yes. Speak up, speak your truth. I want to kind of wrap it up, just bring the energy back in just a smidge. Do you have anything to say about 2020?
Yes. So this is for a year, and we were talking about like the rebellious nature. 2020 is also only made of 2 2s. Of course there's the zeros, but we don't really acknowledge that. So we have stepped into a new millennia, and we're leading with the 2, which is the feminine number. We spend 1,000 years in the 1, and now we're spending the next 1,000 years in a 2. And that means that the rise of the divine feminine is happening. And every time we step another decade into this energy, we step even deeper into it. So I would think and see that we've had the Me Too happen. People are waking up to the wounds on a whole different level and claiming their power in a whole different level. So a 4-year really has that sense of revolution in it, but also like the feminine streak of like redefining what the feminine is, what is womanly, what is manly, and even in our own bodies. Also like, where is my male action-oriented part taking me, and what am I allowing on a feminine level? Where is my left hand and my left side open to more abundance and everything that comes through? What am I, allowing myself to open myself to? There is a whole different there is some hard work this year. No matter what you did this year, part of it was hard work, and you might have to push yourself to do things, or even like ask for help in situations where you would normally just be like, it's fine, I'll just drop this, I'll just step away, I don't have to. But you've had to like step up this year. And if you've been working really hard, also saying like, okay, I need a break, and I don't know how long this break is, but I really, really need a break. But in the cycle that goes from 1 to 9, we're reaching spring. So there is a spring feeling in 2020 also. Like, so if whatever you've been sowing the last 3 years, you should be starting to see things bloom and break through. And you should also starting to see what, if you've nurtured it for the last 3 and now 4 years and it's not happening, then you might need to reevaluate if you need more time with that. Or if it's like, okay, this is not happening. I'm not going to spend time watering this garden because I got other things that are blooming and I'd much rather spend time with that. Yeah. There's also cutting cords in 2020.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, however you visualize that, I use it as a visualization. And if you want to call in Archangel Michael or whoever to do it for you, it's, just letting go and responsibility. I think plays a big factor in there as well.
And higher calling. I think we will see more and more. We've even seen it this year. I just saw that Finland now has the youngest female prime minister ever. She's 34, and their whole government is led by 5 women. And I see that the calling that was maybe painful to hear 3 years ago because we didn't think we could do it and the landscape was different. Now the landscape is, opening up, and for women especially, you can step out more freely. Doesn't mean there won't be challenges, but it's a different earth, different vibration. You can step out now.
Definitely is.
Apparently channeling this for myself too.
There you go. It's all about embracing that feminine and finally feeling heart energy. Embracing all of the feeling again. Yeah. Patty's just saying Merry Christmas, everyone. Novalee and Christine, thank you very much. And Merry Christmas to you guys as well. And thank you, ladies. Love you all. Love you too, Kelly. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. I'm just going to add, I have a new. What I'm inviting you guys to do is if you could share this out, and whoever shares this the most this week for this weekly podcast and live show will win a 15-minute mini reading with myself. So get sharing.
Get sharing.
Get sharing. All right. I want to thank you, Novalee, for coming and joining me today. I've learned a ton. I'm pretty sure I could talk with you about this for many more hours.
Yeah.
I'm just so fascinated with it. Now I know why I was always fascinated with numbers. And then, when you popped up, I'm like, this is, again, universe making space and holding that energy. Now, is there anything you want to, I guess, share with us? Any links? Do you have any courses that are coming up?
Sure. So if this is interesting, you can find me at novaleewilder.com, and I'm Novalee Wilder on Twitter, on Instagram, all the places. And I did just write a book. It's called A Little Bit of Numerology, and it's out nationwide. You can also get it on Kindle, but of course, support your indie bookstore.
Yes.
If you'd like. And I do have sessions for name change, and, I have like the appetizer if you just want to dip your feet, and I have the full on name change, and I do this for businesses as well. And if it's just like you just want to taste and you're not sure, then, sign up for my email newsletter on my website, and you get a free intro to these 9 base numbers. And then you can start being like that person at the table saying, oh, did you know that? And then you can share about numerology.
There you go. Very cool. Very cool. I learned a ton, and I'm pretty sure you guys learned a ton as well. And I will make sure that I save send all the links. It is shared in the original post, but I'll share it again in the comments after the show. And if anyone's watching the replay, please feel free to comment, have any questions. I'm sure between myself and Novalee, and if it's for you, Novalee, I will make sure that
I'll answer them. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, of course. It doesn't matter. The show's over. It's still happening. We're not going to leave you guys in the dark, okay?
Yes.
All right, guys. I want to wish you love, light, and blessings. And please remember, Healing begins where the ego ends. Take care.
Bye.